Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everybody. This is your host, Clay Anderson. Just want to let you know that we just are getting ready to start getting things underway. Um, your flight instructor for tonight will be Eric Satoff. He's a native of South Dakota, I think originally from Brandon, and has gone through SDSU flight training along with some flight training at different locations. He was a CFI at a flight school down in Oklahoma when he was transferred up into the regional airlines regional jets, basically about 10 years ago or 8 years ago. And back in the day, you could start with quite a few lower number of hours than we did today, but did that for a while until he got furloughed because there was an excess pilotage of pilots at the time, and was turned into more of a he's in the process of getting back into that, but he's also a flight instructor in Sioux Falls and also works for the TSA at the Sioux Falls Airport. My name is Clay Anderson, and I'll be your host for this evening tonight. Eric happens to be right now doing some touch and goes with the student, and it may be getting close to solo time because they look like they're doing really well. Oh, by the sounds of it, this sounds like they're coming back in right now. So, but just to kind of give you an overview of what we're going to try and accomplish, this is the first night. We're going to be going through material from the Jepson syllabus, and this is under the, we're going to peruse through information on the basic flight instructor's certificate that's available to individuals that are at least 18 years or over. And because it's a flight instruction side, you basically have the opportunity to instruct while on the ground without actually even having a pilot's license. So this individual certificate, if you look at the regs, and we'll kind of go ahead and peruse through there real quick on a different screen, it allows you to look at two different testing areas. The first one, of course, is the much like what we have understood pilots to have a flight instructor's license. This is geared totally towards the basic ground instructor. Under the flight instructor auspices of, let's say, Jepson Aviation Products, basically goes from a ground to a flight instructor to an advanced flight instructor, and then a multi-engine and instrument instructor. So there's quite a few actual designations or courses that you can take, depending on what syllabus you're working with. It can take you through all of them, or just a few, depending on what your goals are. Most collegiate organizations now, if you've got a college-related direction, they're going to take you, probably skip the ground. I'm feeling that the ground is very important for individuals that want to be part of aviation, but don't necessarily have the desire to become professional pilots or even flight instructors for that matter. I've got several students that have gone on to own their own aircraft, basically either with a private or private plus instrument rating. So those individuals are able to enjoy all the certificate responsibilities and abilities that they're given. On the other side, it gives them a chance to kind of give back and to share their knowledge and their enthusiasm for flying. So I think what you're going to find is, at least my goal is that with the current pilot shortage, with the mass exodus of flight instructors trying to get the minimum hours to get out and into the airlines, see, nowadays the opportunity is so much greater, whether it be first year pay for young right seat pilots, or just the ability to get in there and take advantage of it, rather than having to spend so many hours actually out there trying to flight instruct. And flight instruction can be really rigorous and quite a bit of work compared to a traditional corporate pilot that goes from point A to point B, lands and either goes on or sits around until he readies himself for the next flight. But a flight instructor's job is really garnered around high activity, if you will, more students, more interaction, more up and down, and a different kind of energy. So there are certain individuals that like to share their knowledge of things, and that's kind of what this, our emphasis is with trying to accomplish the basic flight instructor's certificate. As you notice here, I think most of everybody was given the opportunity to download what is the Airplane Instructor's Handbook, which is a government published product, much like Airplane Flying Handbook or what have you. Anyway, it's what we're going to use as our textual guide. All the information that we need is found in there, or maybe perhaps even a FAR aim that designates more on the regulations. But just to kind of give you a feel for the basic ground instructor's privileges, they're going to be able to, if you're able to graduate with this certificate, you're able to hold a ground instructor rating, so that you can authorize ground training of the aeronautical knowledge areas that's required for a sport pilot's, recreational pilot, and a private pilot certificate. So that'll give you the opportunity to even teach your friends and family, or share your knowledge with them, and put it in a logbook to the point where that individual is able to, move on and take their written test. And that's really, for the existing private pilot that either has access to a plane or not, but maybe wants to share his knowledge because he gutted it out or she gutted it out. I think it's really kind of a neat opportunity to be able to do that. It gives them the ability to give a recommendation for the knowledge test that's required. Normally, your flight instructor would do this, but a ground instructor at this level is able to do the same thing. One thought is that the ground training required for flight reviews are generally done by CFIs or CFIIs, and the double I is for instrument, obviously. So there's some direction you can go there. I don't want to really get into this so much, but it says here that in CFR 61.215, Section D, a person who holds a ground instructor certificate is authorized, within the limitations of the rating on ground instructor certificate, to endorse the logbook or other training record of a person to whom the holder has provided the necessary training or recommendations specified in the paragraphs A through C of the section. And it's actually quite a bit of autonomy. And in the same sense, they can actually speak to it, and they can be employed by it. They can make, additional income through ground instruction. And today's flight schools, they're hurting for flight instructors because the volume of opportunity out there is unprecedented, and at levels that are we haven't seen that yet. So. So we'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead and put this there and let you read through that while while Eric comes in.
Where's everybody?
I don't know.
So it's supposed to be at what, 7:30, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm getting you warmed up. You guys look pretty good out
Microphone.
there. Oh yeah, we thought we'd.
Yeah, the first couple landings were, a little shaky, and then he started getting it, and by that third or fourth landing, White just greased it, and
Really?
it's like, oh, that felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you ready for solo here. If you do that, you may not see the plane again.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Now let's take off.
Just take off and enjoy his ride.
This is so much fun. Just coming
Yeah.
out.
You guys look pretty good. I mean, did you see the video I sent you with the slides on that Stacy, Minnesota?
Oh, yeah, I saw you sent me some stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
look at it all yet.
It's 4 minutes. It's really, it's really slow, but I know.
Quite the crew you got here.
Yep.
Apparently, I'm the only one that wants to learn something, huh?
That's absolutely right. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the camera.
Oh, are we
Yeah.
live?
Yeah, we're
Hello.
live.
Do we?
Oh,
Is this live chat to?
Yep.
Is it sent out or is it being recorded?
It's being recorded and being sent out.
oh, so you're gonna throw this right up on the web then? We're gonna be on the webinar?
Yep.
Ah,
You didn't do your makeup, did you?
gee, I could have shaved. I don't shave, but maybe once a month. Okay, I better shut up or make an ass out of myself.
Okay, the other thing I have up here is so if you want to go through it quickly.
I got the numbers here too for the flight. What do you want us to do? Just read through it, or can I?
Which numbers? You mean?
For the plane.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can. Write those down.
We can do that afterward. If you want to get this thing kind of.
Yeah, we can get this going or whatever you want to do here.
I don't want to hold you guys up.
Are you ready to learn like a sieve? Okay.
I'm focused right now.
Okay.
Some damn good landings.
That's what I
Yeah.
heard.
Now you should have been videotaped.
Yeah, really. Talk about it.
All right, let's see. We got 2572 is the end. Oh, hold on. That's not right. I clicked on the wrong thing. 24,893 should be the end. And the out would be 24,900. And then the
That's
hot,
right. What? 24,900.
yeah,
2490.
0. 2 zeros. Good. It should be 24893 for the top,
Oh,
right?
yep.
24893 and then 24900.
Okay. All right. And
19552.
Okay.
Some books for you. I can finally return.
Even the people that were going to this got sidetracked by the Paul McCartney concert.
I think 2 people are going to that right now. A couple other different softball. We'll see. We'll see where it all goes. Okay. So.
I'll give you your books back.
Sure.
Which one? Do you want the big one? You want a little one? You want a new one?
The old ones are fine.
I would actually rather have the big one.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was small.
I didn't either.
What's that?
Well, it looks so small compared to how tall you are. Sorry.
My girth.
I hope this is going out live.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely going live.
Oh, shit.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have the incomparable certified flight instructor, Eric Satan. Woohoo!
Hey, everyone. Can I talk into the mic?
Yeah, you can bring it around a little bit.
We'll stand up there. Demonstrate stuff.
Hello, everyone.
I put it up there just so it wouldn't get shaky, but
Okay, so what are we talking about today, like on this lesson here?
okay, if you go to the top there, we got lessons, basically chapters 1 and 2. You don't have to stand up there if you don't want to.
So it's going to be your syllabus.
I want you to look like Jason Shepard up there when he's doing his little videos.
I don't think I can. I can't look that good.
In his hair.
Yeah.
It's always like, it's like, Oh, you do your hair like that? I thought it was just like, just got to it and I decided to get up and.
I would laugh so hard if he watched this.
Very well.
Heard you talk about it. He's probably watching it right now.
I can tell if I get up in the morning, I've had equal sleep on either side. It looks just like that.
I didn't even look at mine. I put my hat on the way I go. Anyway,
Where are you starting on? Stage 1, ground lesson 5?
Yep, right in the beginning, right where I put it, right there. Stage
Ground
one.
lesson 2.
Ground lesson 1.
That's here. Okay. Basically goes over the definition of learning, behaviorism, cognitive theory, construction. Okay.
So I could do a screen share with the 8083.
Does anyone know the definition of learning?
is there people watching this? Like,
Yeah.
Can they reply?
16.
We got 16 people watching.
can they reply? Like, would we be able to hear them if they?
Right there. No, I've got just.
Do we know who's watching?
Probably looking at us like we're a bunch of goofs. What we're doing.
It's kind of my thought.
Oh. That's why I kept going. No, I keep doing it wrong. Sorry, everybody. Let me just get this right.
So you want the definition of learning then?
Okay, right here.
The
What is the
ability
definition
to
of
acquire
learning?
something that you didn't previously already know.
It's defined as a persisting change in behavior resulting from experience. With the environment that cannot be attributed to natural growth. Or as we call it, learning is just a change in behavior as a result of experience. You want to take the next one, Clay?
Oh, I'm not this instructor. What's the next one?
Go on.
Well, here's psychological.
Do you have
human
any
needs.
questions from the audience
Yeah,
on what they read? They should have all read this at this point.
So it looks like these are the human needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the pyramid. Look like this, the primary psychological, they're all psychological needs of some sort. Primary is the need for air, food, water, maintenance of the body, shelter, coffee.
Coffee is one of the needs.
One of mine,
It's part of the concentrate.
which
Area.
is so long. Yeah, security is obviously a primary, fundamental human necessity.
Like you
Belonging.
need to be physically secure with yourself
Right.
to.
Right. And it looks like, based on this, is that, your esteem is a secondary thing. That's not necessarily a primary. But as you go up that pyramid, the things that are more, I don't know, it's not necessarily utopian, but maybe more want versus need. That's probably the esteem, cognitive and aesthetic. Maslow's added, it says the need to know and understand. And aesthetic would be the emotional need of the artist. So maybe that's the need to express themselves, to need to communicate, to do that. And I know self-actualization is people that are characterized by that are problem focused, as in solving problems for other people. They're born to do. And that's maybe that book that came out about, your purpose. That's probably the highest, personal self-worth, definition that you can talk about. How about human nature and motivations?
We're learning about flying here.
Well, this is the FOI, Fundamentals of Instruction.
This is how to instruct, basically.
Right. So this is talking about what makes people click.
What motivates
So
them
you're trying
too.
to figure out how to teach people in a
Right.
efficient way.
And
How
to
they
recognize what kind of personalities they are, and recognize what I do around those personalities.
Okay. I got you.
And why they act. If they act like this, well, then they're this certain type of personality, and my professional way to go about reacting to that is with this,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
focus
gotcha.
scale.
Okay.
Theory X and Theory Y. I remember that was a behavioral management thing in business school.
Cognitive theory
Okay.
involves a mental process such as decision making and problem solving that are difficult, if not impossible, to observe or measure. You might find it challenging to design tests or other evaluation tools to determine if learning has taken place. However, if your students can explain how and why they do something, you can gain valuable insight.
That's cognitive
Cognitive theory
theory.
basically talks about if people understand the how and the why they do something,
Right.
they'll helps them understand the process as a whole or how to do it.
I feel like I've gotten ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Was it cognitive right there? I didn't see
I
it.
was just reading
I know.
the Theory X and Theory Y.
Is this the book that's going through this book here?
No, that's more of the instructor's guide, and that is more like this is for the instructor. This
So
is
that-
Private Pilot,
Okay.
but that's what that was.
I feel like I fall in the Theory Y category.
Just like you have an inherent dislike for work and avoid it whenever possible.
No, I think you're in the wrong section there. Is that you?
Oh, why?
Oh, you're Theory X.
I thought I was looking at that, and I thought you said I'm 30X. Okay. Yeah, work as an astronaut, definitely theory Y.
People have potential.
Learn to accept and seek responsibility, creativity, ingenuity, and imagination are closely distributed.
So we're just going through that on there and discussing what's on here.
Well, I think,
Or do you want to go through the books or what?
yeah, chapters 1 and 2.
Okay.
No, in the syllabus.
On here.
Yep. And if you read the book, I think they're saying go through that right
I
there.
have the microphone facing where we're sitting. Just that right in the middle, so we can capture all of us.
Well, I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'll give input.
That's the Omni.
Give me the audience.
I want to clap every so often.
So you want to go through this and basically talk about learning as defined, behaviorism, cognitive theory. So we defined learning already. Let's talk about behaviorism. It's the basis study measurement of observable behavior. The theory assumes three things. First, all humans learn in the same manner. Second, all humans will respond to their environment in predictable ways. And third, behaviors can be learned.
Which I imagine is the goal of the flight instructor or the ground instructor.
What's that second one there?
Operant conditioning, or the development of certain behaviors, generally consists of three phases. Cues to initiate the behavior are provided. The behavior is actually performed when consequences associated with that performance are received. Cues that a student should perform certain behaviors can be in form of verbal or nonverbal from you. Basically, like it's talking about cues and behaviors that let you know that someone's understanding or learning type of thing.
And it seemed like operant conditioning was Pavlov's dog, that when he got a treat, he responded. And he kept getting...
Classic conditioning is that one, yep.
That's classic?
It's right here, classical conditioning.
Is that Pavlov?
Pavlov's dog, yep.
Okay. So, treat or the carrot and the stick.
So you ring a bell is what happened. You ring a bell, and every time you ring the bell, you get a treat. So then they found that eventually the dog has learned when the bell rings, he starts drooling because he knows the treat's coming when a bell rings. So he's learned. So basically saying that when students receive proper cues, they attempt to perform specific behaviors to gain desired consequences or rewards. This gets into then reinforcements, positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement. People tend to respond better to positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement. So rewarding good behavior or getting an answer right or something like that, and rewarding that behavior can be something as simple as, telling them good job or exactly right on so they know that they're doing the right thing, to giving actual rewards, whether it be in the form of treats or something like that.
Treats are good.
Treats are good. It says Pavlov's dog found out. Just remember that next time you're in class and the teacher gives you a treat. You're just Pavlov's dog.
Okay. Excellent. Hey, I got a question about cognitive theory.
Okay.
Well, how come that's unlike behaviorism?
Well, cognitive theory involves mental processes such as decision making and problem solving that are difficult, if not impossible, to observe or measure. So it's very difficult to measure and observe cognitive theory. You might find it challenging to design tests or other evaluation tools to determine if learning has taken place. However, if your student can explain how and why they did something, you can gain valuable insight into the mental process used. So sometimes if a person does something wrong, you'll ask them, well, how did you come about that? Because you want to know what their process was to get them to that point of making that decision. If they do it right, on the other hand, you may also ask them, well, how did you do that or why did you do that? Because you're trying to figure out what was their mental process that got them to lead to the right decision. You have social interaction too. Social interaction is a model that stresses the concept that students learn to shape their conduct after the prevailing behavior is displayed in the environment. For example, if you have a relaxed, confident attitude in the airplane, students are less likely to be anxious and agitated during flight lessons. In addition, when people work together, attitudes and problem-solving skills can be gleaned from other members of the group for a reason. So basically, an example of social interaction would be if I get upset or excited in the aircraft and I'm nervous, and the student's going to pick up on that, and the student's going to start getting nervous. So as an instructor, it's important to, no matter what is happening, try to remain calm and explain things to them, so then that way they can remain calm. If you get excited, the student's going to get excited, type of thing. So they're going to mimic your behavior, type of thing.
Mirror it. Yeah.
So the cognitive information process or model describes how information is gathered. It's processed and stored in the brain, such as the same way it is by a computer. As scientists were designing computer models, it occurred to them that the brain might work in a similar fashion. While a computer gets input from the keyboard or other devices, the brain gets input from its senses. Just as a computer processes the data in a central processing unit, the brain processes the data in working memory. Finally, while the computer stores the data to a storage disk, the brain stores data to long-term memory.
Yeah, this doesn't really follow that book.
That there.
Mm.
Which one are you supposed to follow?
That's the actual textbook. This is
Yeah.
this is a generic FAA version.
Oh,
This covers probably a lot. Everything this does, this probably does it twice as good or twice in depth.
that does it twice as good.
Right.
The Jackson
That's free. That's
No.
pay for.
that's $80.
Mm. What did you use?
I think for instructors we use this one. Or one similar. This is a newer version.
Hmm.
I doubt they changed a whole lot in it. Let's see. So like we were just discussing the why'd you do that type of thing. It is basically trying to figure out what led the student to a certain decision. So when you ask why did you do that or how'd you come about that, you want to be careful not to word it in a way that sounds like you're, berating them or upset with them, but just to find out what their mental process was that got them to that decision, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. So that if it's the wrong decision, you can find a way to course correct them and get them back to the decision they should make.
Without making them feel like you're critical on them.
Right. If it's the right decision, that may be a way to lead other students to that right decision, or to be able to say, okay, so you applied this process and the last time you made the right decision, let's try that same process and apply it to this decision and see if we can get the right answer.
Which is probably one of the benefits of working with one instructor, getting to know them and know what they expect and the way that they.
It is one benefit to working with a single instructor, because you get to know that the way their mannerisms are, what they expect, and how they teach, versus when you're switching instructors, you get used to one a little bit, and then you're on a new one, you got to figure out their mannerisms and how they teach too. I mean, there's two sides to that coin.
Right. It seems like it's more on the back of the instructor to facilitate, a good communication line,
Right.
because the student is a student, and that's
As an instructor, you got to tailor kind of your workings to how the student learns
right.
and figure it out that way.
Right. Yeah. Because everybody's going to learn differently.
Yeah.
Or have different techniques to how they get to that point. That'd be the cognitive portion of things. Or?
Cognitive information process describes how information is gathered.
Yeah, that would be the cognitive end of things.
It's how it's gathered, processed, and stored by the brain.
So I suspect that means that some people gather their information differently.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And they all use like their sensory organs, obviously, like our eyes, ears, touch, that kind of stuff. But the way that they process it could be different. Oh, what else we got? We had sensory registry. Basically, it's information coming from the body's sensory organs, perceived and sorted by the brain's sensory registry. The amount of information that your senses detect and sends to the brain far exceeds the capacity of conscious thought. Sensory registry register acts as a filter that separates the important information from the unimportant information. For instance, while you're reading this, you're aware of the words and pictures on this page. However, your body is also aware of the chair in which you're sitting, the color of the room, the texture of your clothes, any background registry. Yet, because the information is not relevant to the task at hand, your sensory registry is discarding it. So what that's saying, basically, for us, while we know the colors in the room, and we know like what our shirts colors are and everything like that.
What music we like, I guess.
What music we like.
Or her favorite hits.
Our sensory registry is blocking out that stuff and saying, okay, but here's the stuff that I'm interested in. Here's the stuff that we're talking about, the learning stuff.
I suppose that goes in hand in hand. Is different people have different, they lean on different senses. I mean, I like to see things, and I realize that for me to understand something, I have to talk about it. Is my way of, yeah. That's cognitive, but yeah. Oh, got it. I'm good.
All right. Pretty funny.
Surprised this doesn't say anything about Maslow or anything, did it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
It hasn't yet here, no. It might be in a different section or chapter.
I don't know. That's exactly how this started off. So I'm just kind of, I suppose it doesn't.
That one's off the FAA book, right?
Right.
Do you have that one? Where's that one?
I don't have a physical copy. I just have.
Oh, what's on there?
Right.
So I could go by reading that too. So, like, yeah, what that's talking about is the human needs that must be met to encourage the learning process. The physical needs. Obviously, that's a need met. If it's super cold in the room or super hot in the room, the person's not really going to be paying attention to what's going on, things like that. All they're concentrating on now is how cold or hot they are, that type of thing. So that'd be like physical needs. Security. If the room's on fire or something, you're not feeling real safe.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to pay attention to what's being taught because you're worried about your safety.
Or I could see a person in the air, if they're a little scared of heights or just not used to being up that high, all of a sudden, they might catch them a little bit. I mean, we've all been there where you're on the edge of a cliff and you're looking down like, wow, we're really high.
Yeah, you start backing up a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah,
standing
and
at
if
the edge
you're-
of the doorway, it'd be no
If you're
big deal.
applying this stuff to the airplane itself, your physiological needs, if someone gets a little airsick or hasn't felt what it's like to be in a plane for the first time, that first flight for them can be like sensory overload. They get in the plane, they're up in the air, they're feeling not just forward and back movement, but vertical movement also. So that's an extra sense that you're picking up.
And the physiological side too, I remember I was flying with somebody here not too long ago, and they were totally they had totally overdone the code. And here I am on the left side, going, okay, turn the heat on, will you?
Yeah.
Because I'm freezing. They're like, just barely. I wore too many clothes. So sometimes I can see, especially in the summertime too.
Yeah, that
Can
can
be a
play
little
into it.
uncomfortable.
If
Yeah.
it gets, too hot or too cold in the plane, where that's all the students focused on is how hot or cold they are, something like that, then they're not going to be paying as much attention to what needs to be done or the tasks at hand.
I can remember the first time I went up, I was so focused in on that gauge.
Right.
That was the only thing that mattered. Like bring it up to a certain altitude, I'm just like, like right there. It'd move a little bit up and down a little bit, and I just focused on that. I wasn't even looking outside.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but
Well, and that's I'm sure
that's kind of falls in probably the category of belonging, huh? Comfortable, physically comfortable and doing feels right.
Belonging,
Well, not necessarily.
belonging is
threat,
the feel the need to belong, like in a group.
but-
So, like, if you're in a group of people and you feel like you don't belong or like they don't like you or whatever, you're not going to learn as well either because you don't feel like you're part of the group. You feel like you're an outsider. Security can, like be a physical security or emotional security too. Like if you are afraid to talk up because you think that they're going to make fun of you, then that can also play into the security side of it.
yeah, that's got to be one of the biggest things I see.
Is people
Right
afraid
here.
to speak up?
Yep.
Oh.
And that's why I keep saying, let your intentions be known.
Yeah.
Because whether you're talking to your traffic controller or your flight instructor, if there's not something right, you can rectify it that fast. At
By
least
just
let them
speaking up.
know.
Yep.
Good or bad or indifferent, you just.
And for a classroom environment, if we're talking about like for teaching purposes, you want to have a safe environment where people know that it's okay for them to speak up and make a mistake. It's okay if they speak up and it's not really what you're looking for as an instructor, but as long as they're at least participating and trying. So that's why you want to create that safe environment. If it's an unsafe, so to speak, environment where people feel like they're getting made fun of if they say the wrong thing
Criticize.
or criticized, then no one's going to want to speak up or say anything, and you won't have that class participation.
Which I suppose leads to self-esteem.
Yep, it can lead into self-esteem, basically to where if they have too little self-esteem, they're going to be afraid to speak up, afraid to talk. Too much
I'm pretty
self-esteem.
scared to talk. Yeah, and speak up.
Too much self-esteem. If you kind of pad their psyche a little too much, they might think that whatever they say is right, and then the instructor's wrong. So it can go both ways with self-esteem. You have to learn as an instructor, when to kind of boost someone's self-esteem and let them know, hey, good job, good answer.
Right.
And when they should maybe back off on some people and, let them speak their mind, but you don't want to criticize them because you don't want to drop them into low
I
self-esteem.
read through some of that earlier and went a little farther in advance, and that talks about the guy who's overly confident. As a student, the instructor needs to be kind of stern and kind of bark at him to the point where you give them a step-by-step, here's exactly how we're going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just kind of shoot at the hip, do things my way. I mean, that was kind of looked like the approach that an instructor would have to take.
Mhm.
So I suppose the top is self-actualization. Top of that pyramid.
Yeah, self-actualization. Basically, when all those needs are satisfied for the student, and they have the best chance to learn in the best way.
Yeah, I can see the ability to have a peak performance. That's when,
They can focus in on the problem at hand.
Yeah,
Right.
being able to
Yeah.
focus the most.
because it's like this learning to fly. And sometimes when you get that plateau, then all of a sudden it's finally that one more flight that brings that, takes you off that
Pushes you over the
Yeah,
up,
up,
edge.
up and higher. Yeah. Sometimes you beat yourself up for not, you think you need to be there as a student. And the instructor say, hey, you're doing fine, but you're not listening to the instructor. You're just thinking about, I'm not doing good enough. I mean, I hear that.
Sounds like what I was just talking about. Late.
Right.
It wasn't good enough, and now I finally.
And all of a sudden,
it kind of crested over
his
that.
words were, he greased it.
But you push yourself over.
Right.
You break through that barrier, and all of a
Right.
sudden you're like, It's like a
Okay.
light bulb.
I can do this. Right.
I've got to figure out how to do it
Right.
just right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do it 2 or 3 times, you're like, okay, this is how
So then you start doing that with
Hey,
higher
yours?
wind,
Okay.
higher wind velocities. I mean, it changes the game. But
right.
the same thing. Your skills match the environment.
And that was called
Well, that's self-
actualization.
Yep. So if you go back, we'll just buzz back here to this pyramid. Maslow said, your psychological needs are down here: your water, air, food, shelter, safety and security, love and belongingness, self-esteem. Self-actualization is you've arrived. In essence, you're getting the highest want versus a need. I mean, these are primary needs, fundamentals.
They got that one there.
Which one?
Those are primary needs.
Primary needs: air, water, food, shelter,
Yeah.
sleep, and sex.
Just
Primary.
primary. Everybody. That's the.
That's your primal. That's the basics. That's what everyone wants and
Okay.
needs.
I got you.
Yeah.
So then at
If
top,
you don't have
that's
air, that's a
like
big problem.
That's just.
right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, and
But then at the top, that's more of a want. So
and part of that is your ability to see your skills get that far.
success at a higher at
Right.
a higher
Just like
level.
you said.
Yeah.
When you started, man, all I could do is focus on that.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not going to break the plane, but
Yeah.
But
But you're so stressed out. You're just like,
right.
you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
then I notice that once in a while now too. You get up there and you get, you're like, okay, holding it right there, and then you just relax. Let
Yeah,
it
trying to
do its
focus
thing. And
in.
just
I was taught, hold the yoke like this, like it could fall through.
Oh,
And I used to, the guy that was a Cessna rep when I would fly with Steve Wilson, he'd be doing something like you're trying to crab into the wind and you're really trying to push and rudder and all this stuff. And he says, okay, I have the plane. And, he was just sitting there and he wouldn't touch anything.
oh,
It's a Cessna, man.
yeah.
They're built to
Just let it.
rewrite.
Screws, yeah.
Yep. Just, hey, I have the plane. Okay.
We were
It's
having
all
that
right.
discussion on the way in. These high wing planes, they're built to be pretty stable and everything for instruction.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes we get in our own way.
Right. Yeah. We're just overthinking things. Or get over. Yeah.
Kind of by design, they're kind of made that way. So we can kind
Go
of
through human behavior a little bit.
about motivations.
Needs and motivations.
We just went through that.
Well, motivations we didn't really go. Scroll back up a little bit.
Like what motivates us.
That was the self-actualization.
Oh, okay, yeah, we did. Okay.
Well, this would be another version of it.
Yeah, theory X and theory Y. Back in 1980, 84 was when 1980 is when I started college. In 1983 and 4, I was management down in USD, and they talked about the X and Y theories of management. And the manager would say people below him have an inherent dislike for work. They're punching the clock. They're not looking at that. I'm not out here for the company thing. That's not my job. You'd hear it. Different things like that.
Let's see what theory Y is called for.
Whereas theory Y, people will exercise self-direction if they are committed to it. And I think that's today's environment, especially with the younger business operating, the way
You
maybe
think there's
high
more
tech.
people with the Y theory? People are more.
I think the
self-exerting.
younger, the current,
You can't group, I don't think, everyone into one theory because
no,
both of those theories, I know some people that theory X applies to, and some people that theory Y applies to. Some people are self-driven, where they're more theory Y, and some people need to be given motivation, and that's where theory X would come into play. Especially like theory X could be, that could happen to anyone who, maybe if you don't like what you're doing, or you don't find it fulfilling,
right?
that can be theory X. You don't find it fulfilling, you feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over, spinning your wheels. Then it gets to be theory X, theory Y. You feel like you're making a difference. You can see some sort of outcome of it.
Yeah, this goes back, I guess, to 1960s. So that's quite a ways away.
It is way before me.
But that was the old, yeah, before me too. I mean, I was born 62.
Now,
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's move it on ahead to human factors that inhibit learning.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, really.
so there's different defense mechanisms. What I got there?
Repression, denial, compensation, projection, rationalization.
Reaction, fantasy, and displacement.
Denial inhibits learning.
And I can see the repression. If you've got somebody that's gonna, it says it's a defense mechanism whereby a person places uncomfortable thoughts into the inaccessible areas of their unconscious mind. That might be the glass is half full kind of person, where they always immediately look for the negative or
Oh, like
look for something that's just not enough, maybe. That person's probably not able to cope with the now and pushed away, dealt with another time,
on the which one?
because they fade away on their own accord. Right here on repression.
That's repression there.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So they can't really cope with the here and now,
They're thinking about the future too much.
right?
Like they think, oh, something bad's gonna happen or whatever.
Yep. Their level of repression can vary from temporary for forgetting an uncomfortable thought to amnesia. So I suppose repress. You try and not think about it, or something traumatic happens and it's stuffed away, but you don't realize why you get irritated by something. I think that's probably like post-traumatic stuff, where it was probably very, we always react to our environment, so it's how you react that gives you a label or a disease, I guess. So, how about denial? Is that large river down in South America?
There's one just like that.
I could see where there's probably a lot of stuff that a person's sitting up there. You got their hands gripped on the yoke, or trying to on the denial side.
Yeah, denial, can definitely come into play. It can come into play where in the flying world, somebody's engine quits and they kind of freeze up because they don't want to think that actually could happen, type of thing.
Is that why we have checklists? Just automatically go to the checklist so that you're not even thinking about, the actual moment. You're thinking about, okay, what's number one?
We have our
This.
ABC for that. I mean,
Right.
ABC, C is the checklist portion, but ABC is obviously A, to keep you in the air, to check your airspeed, make sure you're not going to just drop, and then B, find what you should aim for since you don't have a motor, find your best field, and then C is go to the checklist and start going through that and see if we can maybe get the engine restarted or if we can find out what happened to it.
Mhm. Here's compensation is the next one. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. It says. Now I know Michael Jackson said that, and he's not here to defend himself, but so compensation. Obviously, you're substituting some success in a realm of life, other than the realm of which the person suffers a weakness.
Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I wasn't just the only one thinking that.
It's not making sense in my mind anyway.
I don't really like this book.
Not a fighter. So we can
I'm not sure where that I'm a fighter, not a lover I'm not a fighter. I'm a
I'm not even
lover
getting
who
the-
plays in.
The compensation part. The compensation involves substituting success in a realm of life other than the realm in which a person suffers a weakness. Okay, so for somebody that can't do what you're doing, that's a weakness to them, and they can't receive compensation for it because they don't know how to do it. So
And you're saying compensation in the realm of financial or just
No, compensation being the realm
that
of
would be the success.
self
being able
worth?
to do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Being able to do what you're doing.
Okay. How about projection?
Someone else. Okay, so like say my skill set, like running an excavator. I want to pass that skill set onto you. I'm going to project that onto you on impulse. It's basically like teaching.
Yeah. What it's basically talking about there is if you make mistakes as a teacher, like if you're doing things, skipping steps, things like that, your student's going to learn that. And your student's going to start skipping steps and doing that kind of thing. But what this is talking about here, projection in the mentality world, is where the student is saying that, like if they take the written test, well, I didn't fail because I didn't study. I failed because my teacher didn't teach me the right stuff. So
So it's
placing
not their
blame.
fault.
Right.
Mm.
They're projecting the reason that they failed. It's not because, did they study last night? Well, no, but that's not why I didn't fail. I failed because the teacher didn't teach me enough for the right stuff.
So they project their failure
Their blame
on
onto someone
somebody
else.
else that is probably integral. Well, that sounds like fantasy, just, knowing that's our next little topic there. That's not even reality. I mean, one's an excuse and fantasy is just totally,
Well, fantasy would be like, oh, I'm going to pass that with no problem. I don't need to study. And it's not going to be anybody's fault.
there you go. That's one right there.
Yep.
Daydream.
Because fantasy could be like, in their mind, I'm just going to take this test and I'm going to ace it. And, I don't have to study. I already know it. I know everything.
Yeah,
Well, that could be ego.
I've even seen students come in, and say, "Hey, this is not a big deal. I'll get this. I'll show you."
I probably said that.
Well, I think, and that's not necessarily unhealthy, but I could see where it would get unhealthy or
It says if you get lost in it is where it gets unhealthy. When you get lost in that fantasy and you don't do what you need to do.
so maybe that you don't even recognize your current situation could be more perilous, or your speed's too low and you got to take action now. I don't know if that's fantasy or not.
Well, like it becomes easier to daydream about the career. Like daydream about like, oh, I'm going to be flying that big jetliner out there.
Yeah, so you see
So you
the
just sit there and you kind of, it's in a fantasy because
assume
you're not
that you
there
are,
yet.
but you're not
Yeah,
actually getting there.
And I've been in that situation before.
Like everyone
I'm
has
gonna
been
fly
in
to
most of
Kansas.
these.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be. That's not really unhealthy.
It's just telling you it can be if you do that all the time.
Sure.
No.
That's where it leads to unhealthy. I mean, once in a while, sure, it can be a motivator once in a while
Yeah.
to motivate you, but if that's all you do, then it becomes unhealthy.
Yeah, because you don't
'Cause you
get to
can't-
the now. The now is the only thing we really have.
Right.
Just
Just focus on.
Moment now.
You
Yeah.
start thinking like, well, I'm going to be this big shot airline pilot. I don't need to worry about this I'm doing right now. This is where I'm going to end up,
My gosh.
And it's like, okay, but you need to learn this now to end up there.
Right.
all right. So displacement is more of a defense mechanism.
Now I'm trying to make it so I can read it.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one with bifocals here.
Well, yeah, you might be, but the rest.
So it says the student may choose to express the anger, but redirects it in another way, say for a person such as a spouse. You're saying the avionics student is angry with the instructor over a grade that they received, but fears displaying the anger could cause the instructor to lower the grade.
Oh, Eric would never do that.
I don't think you get grades. It's either pass or fail in here.
Yeah.
And so far, it's not.
Oh, funny.
Okay, psychology textbooks are online references offer more in-depth information on defense mechanisms. So these are coping mechanisms, defense-wise, I suppose. That
Yeah,
people are.
if students maybe aren't doing very good or, feel like they didn't do good. These are all defense things. They might project it and say, well, it's the instructor's fault. He didn't teach me right. Or
So what that tells me is
They
that
might say,
it's
well, it
all a
doesn't
function
matter
of
if I
a
didn't
little
do
lower
good.
self-esteem is going to create the way I react to things in these mechanisms. The way I react.
If you project a lower self-esteem,
Well, if I've got lower self-esteem, I'm going to act out
in a lower level.
in one of those behaviors. Okay, here's emotional reactions. Obviously, anxiety's got to be a pretty big one.
So yeah, I mean, it's threatening. What they're saying is it's threatening behavior there, because obviously the worst outcome is you could crash and die.
Well, you can't be thinking about that the whole time, though.
But if you are thinking about that, that's where your anxiety can
Oh, I see.
lead into. You think of if
Worry
this
about
goes wrong,
right.
and I've had that student where you're up fine and they're just sweating profusely and they just kind of don't want to move anything because they're afraid. And see when you see that, like how do you need to get them out of that anxiety? Let them know that while that could happen, the likelihood of it happening is not very good.
That's the reason why we always quote, well, the chance of getting killed in a car versus an airplane.
It's
much greater.
Much higher. Yeah.
Right.
Unless you're in Alaska. That's about equal.
Yeah,
They have way more planes than cars there.
right.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
More? Really? Okay.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
there's a lot of places there, like, where the roads don't
We
connect
should
all
do
the
a
way through.
cross-country up to Alaska.
Let's do it. You're paying, right? Let's do it. Hey, you heard it. Write it down. Let's do it.
Actually, I think Luke was talking about maybe running the plane and going up there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he's going to rent it, he could let me fly it. Then I could really log some hours in it then, right?
Yep.
Works for me.
Well, I think he
Pretty
was.
sure for Alaska.
Plane out, go. We'll bring our, fly fishing gear.
Yeah.
And then let's be relief pilots, too.
No, I'll fly the whole way. I could get some hours in.
Yeah, he's talking about. Well, he just got back, so.
What's he want to fly that up there for then?
I don't know, just to do it. He's
'Cause he's flying around up there.
He's
he's up there now. Yeah, so he got in. I saw on some on that airline website
Central.
on the bottom one.
Mhm.
It's starting at 500 hours. So he has 500 hours. So he immediately took it, and that sounds like a 206 that you fly from.
There's a couple places that do that. You have to go to Alaska, but whatever.
Right. Well, he was born there, and he
Oh, was it?
so
Was he flying a 206?
206. It's like that FedEx one over there.
Oh, I
208.
see. Oh, I see.
206. Yeah. 206.
The big one.
206s are smaller than that.
Yeah. What am I thinking of?
206 is like still a single engine, but it's like that,
206 is just like a 172 with 6 seats.
just bigger, a bigger
What
engine.
am I thinking? 206,
I
208?
know what you're thinking. That's a 28 over there.
208. Okay.
Caravan.
Yeah, Caravan.
The one with the jet.
No, it's just a single engine prop. It's a turbine usually.
I see. Just
Yep.
much larger.
Yeah.
Right. So you can 9-passenger type thing. It'd be a good little, metro liner, if you will, for one pilot operations versus the bigger ones.
So he ain't got
that-
nobody flying with him. Then.
No.
No.
That's why.
And he's just
500
doing
at 500
cargo.
hours, they'll do that. Yep.
No
Okay.
people.
And so up there, I mean, that's where a lot of that stuff goes.
Hmm.
Usually.
Because there's,
Fly up
like,
so-and-so.
there's all these towns and there's like roads that don't go between all of them.
Right.
So they just gotta fly it in.
I see. And he's been up there for what, 10 days already then?
Oh, I bet he's been up there a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him since?
Yeah, he's going to fly Wednesday.
Oh, is he
He's
liking it up there?
back.
I haven't really talked to him much. I just
Oh.
saw one picture of a train ride going over there. Must be taking the north through North Dakota and farther west. There's a train you can take, and then Maybe it goes all the way up to Anchorage, or I think that's where
Really?
he's going.
I didn't
Yeah.
know there's a train that goes all the way up there.
Yes, you can do it. You can get it in Fargo as close as here. You know, one of Andy's guys that she works with, he and his wife went to. Actually, they went to the west side. I think they went somewhere. You just on what is it? 90. We're on 90,
We're on 90, you guys east and west.
so they would be at 101 or maybe it's 100. I don't know.
Huh.
But it sounds like
Up
it
in Fargo,
kind
huh?
of follows that right over there. So this one's talking about different reactions to stress, which I could see as a student, and you're in the airplane. The longer it goes, sometimes things get heavier and probably compound.
There's normal reactions to stress, and then like this is saying there's also abnormal reactions to stress. So that's what you want to kind of watch out for with students is, the abnormal reactions to stress.
Inappropriate laughter or singing.
Yeah, that happens to me. But I can see that nervousness. Oh, geez. I mean, just wigging out a little bit.
Yeah.
Or very rapid change in motion. Yeah.
Oh, severe anger directed towards the flight instructor.
See, that would be bad. That would be a bad one if you
Yeah.
experience that,
Towards you, though, right?
Firsthand.
especially in the plane.
First hand in the face.
Right, yeah. Knock them
That
out.
could be a bad
Oh,
one.
shit.
If your student suddenly becomes violent or angry in the plane, that can be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's talking about a flight instructor's legal responsibility. It's whether to endorse a student to be if they are competent enough
For
to.
like a solo flight, yeah.
Were you reading that one?
On the right
down
side.
here.
Oh, I see. Do I have a disqualifying physiological defect?
I haven't
We're
come
having a
across it
meeting on
yet.
that later.
But basically,
No.
all it's saying there is if you suspect that they might have some sort of psychological issue that could take away from the learning or could even become dangerous in the plane,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe have another instructor fly with them to compare notes with them.
Right.
Get that second opinion and see what they think.
See if it's instructor or if it's
Right, if
them,
it's instructor
them
induced.
personally.
They call it instructor induced or student induced. So like, is it caused by outside forces or is it just the instructor and student don't really get along or work very well?
Oh, not too far out of the line then.
Teaching adult students versus like younger students. The younger students, you're actually going to school and stuff. They're used to being in that environment of being told kind of what to do and how to do things. Adults aren't always used to being told how to do things and what to do. So it can be different effects and different ways of handling it.
Yeah, and adults are definitely a lot more autonomous, more self-directed. So I suppose they're almost less maintenance. But I could see some adults.
And kind of a big head and not, thinking their own.
A lot of adults also have things in their lives that younger students don't, such as marriages, divorces,
Different pressures.
career jobs, things like that, that could affect their stress level, that you may not know going into a flight. And then you get in the flight and you see they're reacting very strangely.
Right. The time difference between when I sold the first time and sold the second time was 20 years to the week. So I was in college. I had $500. I did as far as I could go, soloed, and I never flew again, maybe once or twice in 20 years.
Okay.
And then it's like, well, not quite 20 years, but that 20 years to the week was my next solo. One was over 8.5 hours. The next one was 18.5 hours.
Oh,
But I had $1 million liability, had 2 kids. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where
You got a lot of
responsibilities were different.
Yeah.
I had a lot more on my mind than I did with just with, you know. Yeah, and I think kids would probably feel like they could do anything.
Right.
They're definitely. I mean, my
a lot less fearful. Kids tend to, like you said, feel like they can do anything sometimes because they haven't had the life experiences and stuff that the adults have. So
right.
they sometimes are like, yeah, let's just do this, let's just do that. Well, that may not be the safest or best idea to do.
Yeah.
Because adults are less likely to do that.
And I think instructors are kind of the same way. Here's Chris. Last week he was trying to rent the plane from me because he wanted to do a fly-in Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking about, I was trying to get him checked out so that he could actually fly with somebody, and didn't work out because the schedules. And he's like, I said, well, yeah, I was going to see if you want to do some spin training. And he goes, well, I was like the #1 spin guy. I mean, so all of a sudden it's all about him.
Right
No.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, well, okay. All right. So the chapter summary. All right, let's talk a little bit about the learning process.
Introduction and first flight.
Is that how far? See what it.
Well, this book doesn't follow along with that because this isn't the same thing.
You don't want to do like that quiz?
Is there a quiz there?
Yeah. Go.
Towards the end.
Yep. I would have sworn I seen quiz.
Questions?
Maybe I just seen it.
Questions there.
What are, the,
Which some?
what are the 3 basic elements that comprise the communication process?
You gotta have
One
a
ear
speaker.
out the other.
You gotta have a listener, and you gotta have the communication process be like your speaker, like I said, and then your listener, and then the actual words or communication spoken. Should be in here.
No, we don't have to go over that if you want to.
So you're saying for communication to happen, you have to have somebody is talking, somebody is listening, and then whatever topic it is between them.
Right, and then the information shared. So there it is. Like they break it down this way for source, that'd be your speaker, and receiver, that's your listener. And then symbols used to communicate, however you communicate. And then, of course, you need feedback from the person that they're understanding what you're getting.
So it could be language, it could be body language.
Yeah, communication comes in all forms. Spoken language is only about 1/3 of your actual communication that you communicate with people. Body language is a big part of it too, but
Would it be a 2/3?
it doesn't, like, whatever I say in words doesn't really matter. I can get what I'm trying to say across to you, even if I don't say words, just by using body language and pointing
I
and
can
that
tell
kind of
right
stuff.
now that was in science. Yeah, you're just a little. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, do the true and false one.
Right? As long as you use appropriate symbols to convey your message, your attitude is not a factor in ensuing effective communication. What do you think?
False.
Attitude's everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's everything, but
It's a
it
good
definitely
portion
does
of it.
play into it.
Yep.
So attitude does make a difference.
Attitude always is a direct correlation to your altitude. Not speaking of that, but the direction of your life path.
Okay. It's getting deep.
I feel like that should be in a fortune cookie.
Well, and I think that the attitude is probably rubbing off, onto the instructor based on what the student's trying to learn, or, and I can see a lot more of the emotional impact being up in the air, where there's a sense of the experience is essential.
It could be a
All the
sense
different
of
senses are-
comforting if you keep it.
What?
Go on.
Well, I'm just thinking, you're put at a different level of intensity, being up there, having to do all this responsibility, trying to do this, X number of things.
So if you keep it kind of more on a more relaxed sense, it's
Well,
more of a
Yeah, more. It's
like an easier.
yeah.
Instead of me like telling you, hey, pull back in the other runs, pull back,
Right,
or
and then you get the
turn
response.
right, you're more directed. If you keep it more like, oh, I should pull back a little bit more, something like that. Is that kind of what you're going for? You keep it more on like
Yeah, I'm just saying you're
a less stressful environment in this.
right. Yeah, if the instructor can modulate their intensity, like it said, if you're laid back and a little bit easier, the student's going to feel more relaxed and be able to learn easier.
Yeah,
Versus, hey, nope, you got to do that. You got to do that.
right.
You know,
Do this, yeah.
right. And I've heard other students come in and you're a great example with Lenny.
Yeah.
Do the skirt thing.
Oh,
He thought, here's Lenny.
I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to say
No, I'm not going to say that
out loud, but
Right. But the idea is, here's a soldier who's been in Afghanistan twice, did 2 tours, 6 years, came back.
Uh-huh.
And he's getting like, wow, Eric's really, climbing on me. I just, I'm trying as hard as I can.
I know he's been in the military environment, and I kind of know, although, I've been in the military, but from talking with a lot of people, I know how they kind of act with each other and stuff. And so I was kind of acting that way with him.
Oh, I see. Kind of being more
And
Sort
direct.
of
so-
broke the ice finally.
And so at first, he kind of thought, man, you're really being hard on me.
Oh,
And, he just was like kind of nervous. And then I finally broke it down to him and I said, look, I know you're a soldier. I know you've done tours. I'm like, is this how your, buddies or your troop talks to you? Oh, and then he understood.
oh, I see.
And ever since then, he was like, yeah, now we're having fun.
It wasn't criticized then.
Right.
Then it was like, well, yeah, we're just talking.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Trying to come down to his level.
Right, come
Not
to his
necessarily
level to break it down
Yep.
so that he understands like where we're coming from and, that, hey, let's just be buds here. Let's just hang out and do this flying thing,
Right.
In between.
Mhm.
And then it really calmed things down. And once you really got that, oh, he's not trying to be hard on me. He's just at my level here, then, yeah, we were cool.
That's one thing I've said in the past too, is that instructors are instructors. And when you're up there, you'll realize, when air traffic controller wants you to do something, it's not like when you get around to it and you think it's going to be a good time for it. It's now.
Right.
And that's part of that sense of urgency that an instructor is probably sharing, barking orders, or, is instructing, which maybe the student never realized. That might be just something that, students finally realize after a while, and maybe they can get frustrated and quit. They can react all different ways.
Mhm.
But I could see, there's a certain time, and it seems like it's a plateau is what it is. When people feel like, gosh, I should be doing better. I should be greasing those. I went through 6 of those today. You beat yourself up for what you feel is your lack of skill when your instructor's saying, hey, you're doing good. I mean, it was windy out there. You had all the other, all these other factors that you're not even putting in your mind. You're just thinking of, I should be doing better than this,
Right.
Yeah. So.
We got multiple choice.
I know. So true or false, when teaching, you should avoid using examples from your experiences and concentrate solely on the material that's contained in the textbook.
False.
False? You're right.
I missed half of it, so go with his answer.
You do that one.
You're
Well,
right.
Experience is something you're probably not, I mean, you can read and get an experience, but what they're saying is that based on your experience, you're drawn from your own personal history.
I see.
Actually, I read that as one of the questions.
These people still with you? You still got 16 listeners, or? It'd be nice if they could talk back.
I know. If we
Get
could,
some input
or get
from them.
some typing. Can
Nobody
they,
here now.
We're talking to ourselves.
Oh, but it's being recorded.
Yeah, we gotta set it up so that they can type or something. So like if people have questions, we can go through and answer the questions on here. You know what I mean? I think in the
Pink
future.
Floyd.
What?
Is Pink Floyd. Is anybody out there?
How old are your kids?
Or grandkids?
It's not a very.
People out there.
Oh, you're just screwing?
Yeah.
Screwing us?
I didn't think there was, but I was like, oh, maybe.
I was just going taking your word for it. I'm like, you went from 16 to 0 in a matter of not very long.
That's how entertaining we are.
Yeah. We
Well,
need to pick up the pace a little
I was
bit.
gonna say that's what we are is entertaining.
Yeah.
Some learning going on.
They're probably like, I want to learn this. What the hell are we talking?
Yeah. Was there any viewers?
So barriers to effective communication can be lack of common experience, confusion between
That's
symbols.
assuming that they got the right link. I'll find out after I look at this
Oh,
because everybody will get the same replay link.
Abstractions and
I sent it
interference.
to you too, I think.
I think I'm probably not going to replay tonight's events. Will you be able to see if they replayed or not? Or play it?
I'm not sure.
Like if nobody ever watches it, why would you continue it? You know,
Right.
Well, if we had people set up for this, I was thinking, like on this type of thing, if they want to tune in, and then we can sit here and answer their questions and things like that, and then go through this as a group.
Well,
Or if they want to come down and meet here, they can do that too.
that was kind of the idea. This is kind of a little bit extra,
So you're saying I shouldn't be here?
No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
no, what, and that's the thing. It's officers like, well, that's tonight. Oh gosh, I've got to work tonight. And it's like,
Start
okay, well, I
farming.
said that on Thursday,
Yeah.
and I think it's by Saturday is when I finally made it. So I worked all Saturday long on this stuff, so it was one of those things where it's totally fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But and part of the thing is I don't know that much about the software platform to really navigate well.
Mm.
But the idea that
That's a good introduction. The thing, like practice for us, the thing is there, like what you got online that you're showing the viewer and this book here aren't the same, so it could be confusing.
and what we could do is because this is so different,
What you almost should do is go through, because I bet this information is, that information
right?
is earmark the sections and say, okay, like, so now like, the first one we're going to talk about this stuff. Okay, that's this earmark. So here it is here, because
Is there anything with the learning process? That's chapter 2, I believe.
in here,
Yep. This is chapter 2, learning process. Yeah, you think it'd be right here. Is it? Learning styles, teaching progress,
teaching process, introducing the teaching process,
and this is the learning process.
which has got to be learning styles. I'm guessing section B there.
Yeah. That's what I would say. It wouldn't be teaching process.
Right, I'm sure they just changed the name of it for their book.
Right, because learning process, I can see where this thing was. Well, this is 2008, but I know the book itself is quite old.
Or did you print that out at all and make a binder from that? I wonder if you could do that. Because this goes along with that, right? This here? Or is this
This is
going with
supposed to,
this?
see, I thought that actually goes with this. Okay,
This is learning styles for section B.
okay, section B, what's this?
Section B, exploring learning styles. Yep, so this goes more with this.
Yep.
Section A, discovering learning theories. Yep, so this is this. So are we teaching out of this? Are we teaching this? What part of that?
This is the resource that students are supposed to study.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to jump over here, which is
Yeah, because you're using two different books,
right.
two different types of books for that.
Yeah, let's see.
So if they're studying that, then we should print off, make a binder of that. Now, where'd this syllabus come from? Is it Jepson syllabus?
Yep. CFI. Yep, all the way through.
CFI ground, looks like.
It's everything.
Yeah, ground training.
Yeah, so that's 5 or 6 that goes all the way in, multi-engine instructor.
So I wonder, can we get a PDF version of this that we can put up there?
Might be able to.
Since we're this and this are together,
Right.
we should have a PDF version of this maybe up there.
And I know I talked to the guy about it because I said, hey, give me a video that, that we could put on there. And part of this program is that you can do a ground school online, go through the questions and tests, just like Jason Chapper's deal. On the other side of this, he says, well, it's not really meant that way,
Right.
And I thought, well, okay, how do people learn? He goes, well, they just read the book.
Oh,
That's what I'm just wondering. It's like the book in a computer format or PDF format that we
Right.
can just pull up on the screen.
I'll see if I can get that.
That way all our information is the same. We're not jumping from different informations.
You can turn that
All
on
right.
more if you want. I'm probably the only one that's
No
been
one-
on the camera the entire time.
Yeah, no wonder we got zero view.
Oh,
And look at
thanks, Lyle. Golly. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for
We're
coming
making
up.
a porno. No, go on.
I hope
Are
this
you
is on
finishing this
YouTube.
up?
Okay, let me just see. I'm going to stop broadcast.